So we're going to talk all about patient reactivations. And this is going to start with a super important question. And that is, what is a patient reactivation? Let's set the stage for what this is, so then we can define what the challenges are and how you can generate more reactivations from your inactive patient. So we define a patient reactivation, or an inactive patient, maybe more specifically, as somebody who has not been in the last 30 days and does not have a future appointment scheduled. So if they haven't been in 30 days, but they have a future appointment scheduled, they're an active patient because they're actively engaging in care. Haven't been in 30 days, no future appointment scheduled, we're going to define that as an inactive patient. So as we go through here, let's just make sure we have our language super dialed in so we can talk apples to apples each and every step of the way. Now, what you might be thinking is, dang, last 30 days, no future appointment scheduled. That sounds like it could be a lot of people inside of my EHR. And you're probably correct on that. When you look at this and we look at the data across hundreds of chiropractic practices, we see that typically, if you've been in practice a few years, 80, 90% of your patients might be inactive. And remember, we're talking about unique patients, not patient visits. So if you're seeing 100 patients a week, that might be 30 patients, right? Coming in a couple times a week, 50 patients, unique patients. So the question then becomes, if most of your patients are inactive, are you okay with that? And if somebody wants to be brave in the chat, I'd love to know, like, what percentage, if you had to guesstimate right now, do you have 100 active patients and 1,000 people in your EHR? That would be 90% of your patients being inactive. I'd love to get that feedback from everybody if you want to just highlight over there what things look like. And this is just a reality, so it's not a contest whatsoever. I asked the question because it's really important to think about and consider, what does this opportunity look like in your practice? Because this is, to me, the shift, the fundamental shift from, patient reactivations are a nice to have, to patient reactivations are a foundational aspect of what we do within our practice, because I can understand, see the value, and as we'll highlight, the cheapest, easiest, fastest way to be able to fill slots on your calendar. So I'm going to keep my eyes out and see if anybody's brave to put the percentage of active versus inactive patients over there. But in most chiropractic practices, most of the time, an overwhelming majority are inactive. So this is great. 3,000, Jake, raising your hand up. Love it. 3,000 patients and 350 patient visits a week. So you can see right there, even if every one of those patient visits was a individual person, that still would be about 10%, right? So if everybody's coming in twice a week, that'd be about 175 people out of 3,000. So here's the great news, Jake. You got thousands of people who know, like, and trust you that need to be communicated with. So symptoms of no patient. So we're going to talk all about patient reactivation systems. And I'm going to show you exactly how you can do this on your own. And I'm also going to show you how we make it super easy, full disclosure, for hundreds of docs around the world. But I'm going to show you exactly how. But before we get there, let's talk about what might be a few symptoms of a lack of patient reactivation systems. One, never having enough new patients. If you've been in practice like 10, 15, 20 years and you're still in need of new patients, chances are you got a treasure trove of people in your EHR. You're just not maximizing it. Daily practice stress. That usually goes hand in hand with roller coaster marketing. If you feel like you're spending more and more each week, each month, each year on paid ads for diminishing returns and having to run deep discounts when you have hundreds, if not thousands of people on your inactive patient list, that's a real problem. And if you just have hundreds or thousands of inactive patients, that is a massive opportunity of work that you've already done, relationships that you've already built, and service that you can continue to give. And that really is the key component here. Patient reactivation systems are what's critically important because it's a byproduct of service. And if you've taken care of somebody, that things pop up throughout time, and that's okay. But are they raising their hand, and are you giving them, I'm going to see more specifically, the opportunity to raise their hand and making it super easy for them to come back in? That's what reactivations are all about to me. So these start with a few fundamental questions, which is, what percent of your patients think you are a great chiropractor? I got a feeling for most docs out there, it's going to be 85, 90, 95%. If you're like, hey, what percent of my patients think I'm a really good chiropractor? An overwhelming majority. That's the relationship that we build as chiropractors, as being heart to heart with our patients, putting our hands on people, helping people heal. helping their body do the hard work of healing. And then I would ask you the question, what percentage of those do you think would come back and see you again? And those are real questions because ultimately that is your opportunity. If you think an overwhelming majority of your patients think you're an awesome doc, and you also believe, hey, a good portion of them would come back and see me, then the questions become really easy, which is, what are you doing to invite them back? And what are you waiting for? And that's really the heart of where we're going to go today, and also showcasing exactly how you can go about reactivation. So what's your opportunity look like? How many inactive patients do you have? And then if you are actively doing anything with patient reactivations, I'd love to hear about it. So type it down in the chat. We literally have docs here from all around the world. If you have a new modality in your practice, announcing it to your inactive patient base is probably one of the smartest strategies you can do because it doesn't cost you any money. And these are people who already know, like, and trust you. So we'll talk about that in a moment. Why is this such a big deal, right? I think we made the case that there's a pretty darn good amount of opportunity in order to help more people. And it looks like from an inactive patient perspective, we're all over the place. We got some people with no idea. We got about the same amount of people that are between 500 and 1,000, about the same amount of people, 1,000 to 2,500, about the same amount, 2,500 to 5,000. So there's no question that there is plenty of opportunity. The way that we've historically looked at it is that if you have a list of more than 500, you have plenty of opportunity and need to put in patient reactivation systems. Why? We'll talk about that in a moment. Jake, it's hard. We don't have email segmented. So more generalized things like newsletters. Hey, Jake, you're probably more on the right track than you think. We'll dive into some specifics in a moment. Pull their file. Haven't seen them in more than a month. I personally called them. Jim, great job on the patient recalls. I think you're going to really like what we talk about and how you can become super, super focused with those recalls based upon patient engagement, which means you're not blindly calling based upon a date last seen, but you're actually calling based upon engagement with the practice. So Jim, I think you're going to love that. Jake, I'm going to say the same thing to a certain degree. It sounds like you're on the right track. I think we'll really be able to dial things in for you and show you how you can make sure that you can be wide enough. I won't say generalized, but wide enough to communicate with a large swath of people, yet have the calls to action or the next steps specific enough to drive the result that you want. So we can go there with both of those. That's awesome feedback. So you might be saying, okay, I see that there's opportunity here, Jeff. I get what's going on. But why are patient reactivations a good idea? And these three simple facts just tell the story in my mind. It's 5 to 10 times less expensive to reactivate an inactive patient than to acquire a new one. That's just good business sense, right? 2 is more of the heart. They already know, like, and trust you, right? These are your people. You are their chiropractor. The only question is, are you actively their chiropractor right now? And you don't want your inactive patient to become somebody else's active patient because of a lack of communication. That's totally silly. But if you're not consistently communicating, it's happening. And then number 3 kind of ties into number 1, which is there's no conversion metrics to worry about. This isn't like, okay, well, 100 leads come in. We call all of them. We touch base with 50 of them. 50 of those schedule. Then 25 show. And then 12 say yes. And then, so it's like, this is the math of paid ads, as probably everybody is painfully familiar with, where 100 leads becomes 10 patients at maximum really, really quickly, because it's just the way it goes. There's nothing wrong with that. But the question becomes, well, why not spend less and focus more on the people who already know, like, and trust you, right? So that is really why patient reactivations, we believe, are such a good idea, such a smart business idea. And also, why wouldn't you just want to have your practice filled with the people who already know, like, and trust you? And then you're not, new patients are just arduous from an operational perspective, right? They take up more time. Some say it's like there's mental cost, opportunity cost, so to speak, associated with new patients, as opposed to people they already know. They already know your process. They already know your pricing. They already know your procedures. They already know your personality. They are there because they want to be there. I love that. So this is where I go to say, consistently communicating with your inactive patients, my opinion, this is not optional if you consider yourself a great chiropractor. Why? Because why wouldn't you want to help those people who have already raised their hand and said yes, live a better life? Why wouldn't you consistently communicate with them in a proactive manner that allows them to raise their hand on their terms? And that's the beautiful part. When you have hundreds, if not thousands of people, you don't need everybody to raise their hand every week, but you have people saying, I'm ready to come back in because of that message. I'm ready to come back in because you communicated with me. That's how you build compounding benefit over time. So again, the question is, how many inactive patients do you have? And if I look back here, it looks like we're averaging between 500 and 5,000. Here's the good news. Over 500, you have plenty of people that give you a massive opportunity for reactivations, which is really, really great. Now, the key to success is consistency, and the key to consistency is automation. That's what we'll talk about as we get into the second half here. How many patient reactivations are you missing out on? So we serve a little bit over 300 chiropractors right now, and these are just straight up real numbers. We've actually peeled them back a little bit just to be super conservative. So this gives you an idea of if you don't have reactivation systems currently, what you might be missing out on. List of 500, we estimate 3 to 5 conservatively. There are 2 factors that can get you more or less. We'll talk about those in just a moment. On a patient list of 1,000, 5 to 10 reactivations, very doable per month. On a list of 2,000, 15 plus patient reactivations per month, super doable. Super doable with those numbers. So now we come back and ask the question again, if most of your patients are inactive, are you okay with that? And if the answer is, I'm not really cool with that. Now I've done the math and I see 85, 90% of the people I've served are currently inactive. I'm not okay with that. You're going to love what we're going to talk about next because we're going to dive into super specific steps. So I'm going to give you the 3 steps to more patient reactivations. We're going to go through each one individually, and I'll show you exactly how we do it. You can feel free to screen grab. We'll send a replay of this as well. 1, you want to send weekly emails that teach your patients about the benefits of your care and invite them back to your practice. We call that teach and invite consistently. Teach, engage, inspire, entertain, invite. That's calling them back to the practice. Hey, if you don't have an appointment scheduled, click to call, click to schedule. Show you exactly what that looks like in a moment. That weekly cadence, absolutely critical. I know what a couple of you are thinking right now. Weekly sounds like a lot. I'll do monthly. You will find diminishing returns. You actually find better results, higher open rates. We've tested it. Higher open rates, higher activity rates, weekly. Weekly is where it's at. If you have any questions at any point in time, drop them down in the chat. I'm happy to answer them live here for you. So 2, track every patient. This is another key component. You can't just send something and just hope for the best. That's kind of whack. You want to track every inactive patient who's opening and clicking in your emails so you know if they're engaging or not. That is super critical. We'll highlight that in a moment here. And then we also are going to reactivate more patients. How? By having scripts and holding your team accountable. You have to have systems here, right? This is not something where this is the most valuable asset you have in your practice. I've literally in the comments or in the poll, you have hundreds and or thousands of people who trust you. This is, in my opinion, I don't mean to overstate it, but this is like life or death. Like they trust you. You don't want to just wing it with this. You want to have great systems that your team can be held accountable to reaching out. They have scripting to be successful. They have messaging going out to drive the engagement. You can see how this process works when you really get a system together. So let's highlight each step. Step 1, send weekly email newsletters to your patients. So this is an example of exactly how we do it. So if you want to screen grab this, go for it. This is exactly how we do this for hundreds of docs around the world. 1, logo at the top. 2, bold the design. This looks good. This does not look like, your grandfather's newsletter, right? Where it's like, it looks like a rag. This looks impressive and design matters. So bold design. 2, a teach and invite strategy, meaning there's an educational moment here. You're their doctor, teacher, educator. Do it, be it, teach them, engage them, inspire them, right? And then the invitation is where you see maximum reactivations. Now, it might be a little small for you to see, but it says you're always welcome back at Movement Health, this practice. The fastest, easiest place to schedule your next visit is by clicking one of the buttons below. And that has the phone number and a request appointment button. So those can go to your online scheduler, to your contact form. We even have custom forms for all of our doctors that say, hey, we've received your request. Our team's going to reach out to you in the next 24 hours to get you scheduled if you don't have online scheduling. That's how you level up that customer service. And of course, as you can imagine, we track every one of those. We'll get to that in a moment. And then it's all personalized for your practice. So nice big picture, doctor smiling, staff smiling. That's your choice there. But this is how you set up a weekly email newsletter that delivers the goods, that people are like, oh, this is about me, because it is. It's about them, meaning it's about the patient. When the patient's reading it, they're saying, this is about me. It's not about the practice. It's about the patient. That is where a teach and invite consistently strategy comes in key. We'll get into the super detailed information right now, but teach and invite consistently is where it's at. Beautiful design matters. Thanks, Dr. Smith. And ensuring that you track it. So the tracking is the other component here. You don't want to send something and then just be like, oh, whatever. So I'm going to tell you how we do it. The way we do it is for every one of our members, if a patient clicks in their email the next day at 7 a.m., this is literally what they get in their email on the left-hand side of the screen. At 7 a.m., they get a list of those exact names of the patients who clicked to schedule. So one, we send a message to the practice within 15 minutes saying, hey, this patient's clicked. But then we give you a tally of everybody the next day for everybody that clicked the previous day. What does this act as? This acts as your ability to hold your team accountable. And ultimately, you just check, you make sure they got scheduled. They're clicking buttons to come back into your practice. So we want to deliver those on a plate. You can go into email systems, dig into the data if you choose. We make it super easy. We're just going to deliver you that information. But the most important thing is that you have that information. So whether you need to dig into data or whether you make it easy by utilizing us, having the names of those individuals is super, super critical. Why? Let's dive into two things: email openers and email clickers. Email openers is going to tie back to earlier. Email openers, that's your patient recall list. Instead of just blindly calling based upon the last time that they've been seen, send them communication that continues to build trust and value. When they're opening, that's about the best patient recall list you can possibly imagine, because these are people engaging with your practice. So utilizing your email openers, they're opening, engaging, learning from you, utilizing that as your team's patient recall list is massively powerful and could drive really great results, because these are people engaging with your practice. 2, email clickers. These are the people clicking to schedule. These should be gimmies, right? They should be hopping back on your schedule. So we encourage you, of course, to keep track of those individuals. That's why we deliver them in what we call reactivation reports on the screen right here, so that you can ensure that those people who clicked got back on the schedule, and reach out to those who engaged, open the emails, as your patient recall list. This is how you create systems and processes that drive great results. And then one step farther, right? The third step is holding your team accountable. So the way that we like to do it, you could do this within a spreadsheet. We like to have simple, easy to use technologies, but you could do this within a spreadsheet. At the bottom of the screen there, you can see our technology allows us to list every single patient that's clicked automatically in real time. And then your team can go in and you can just click whether that patient rescheduled and click to add a note if you called and left a voicemail. And you can see right above that, call scripts, text scripts, email scripts. You need to empower your team to make those outbound calls, to text those individuals, maybe to send a follow-up email if somebody's opened or clicked if you don't see them on in your EHR yet. That's good customer service. So you want to empower your team with those scripts. So providing recall lists, providing scripting, and holding your team accountable through some tracking, that's the way we go about it. And to me, those are the 3 steps to success that we have seen time and time again. So I'm going to put up another poll real quick just to see how everybody's doing. Based upon what we've talked about right now, I just would love to know, does this stimulate that excitement? Does this get you going? Does this say to you, man, this is something that I know is an area of opportunity in my practice. This is really something that I know if I start reaching out, I know, I got my patients like me. I know I did a great job. I know I got great information, and I know a lot of people would come back in, and it looks like we're just loading up on top priority and need to be doing this ASAP, which is awesome, because I hope that these steps are absolutely what you need. So Jake, couple questions there. Thank you, Natalie. Great. Thank you. Dr. Michael Luban. Yes. Thank you. Awesome. Jake and Oscar, thank you as well. it's kind of similar to something we do with HubSpot, but more for marketing campaigns on Facebook and Google, not so much on the emails. Yeah, Jake, email is key. And the two stats here I'll break out on email. 99%, this stat's actually from HubSpot. 99% of people check their email at least once a day, and over 50% of people check their email 10 times a day. As you can see, you probably get a lot of emails as well. Why? Because it works. So my statement is always, if you're not showing up in your patient's inbox, somebody else is. So, that's your choice, right? So that's why I love seeing where I'm just seeing top priority, need to be doing this ASAP in that poll, because it's so true. This is just the lowest hanging fruit. Now, if you want to take a look at this, you can see in the upper left-hand corner, this is 4:42 Monday, yesterday. We literally screen grabbed Dr. Seth up in Mill Valley. 9 patients over the last 30 days clicking those buttons to come back into his practice. Over 1,700 patients were opening his emails over the last 30 days. What does that tell us? That tells us a lot of people are engaging. Those are the people that might not click a button, right? Do I think he got more than 9 reactivations? Yeah, we can track 9 because 9 clicked to reactivate. But I can also tell you, with nearly 2,000 patients opening his emails, does that do good things for his practice? Heck yeah. Imagine reaching 2,000 of your patients with great information and inspiring them to take the next step. Now, of course, the next question for you might be, well, how's this going to work for me, right? That's where it comes down to 2 factors. And these 2 factors I want to be super straight up about. 1, size matters. The more people you have on your list, the more opportunity you have. That's why we started with, hey, how many people you have on your list? Because it really matters. If you have less than 500 people, it's difficult to really get a lot of reactivations. If you have more than 500 people inactive or 500 people on your email list, you got plenty of opportunity. Above 1,000, you're cooking with gas. Over 2,500, give me a break. So size of your list does matter. Now, here's the beautiful part. As you continue to do your paid ads, your events, your list is going to continue to build. That is where this is a compounding benefit over time, which is one of the most important things. So this keeps getting better the longer you do it, because your list naturally grows and you continue to cultivate those reactivations from your list. And then number 2 is how much your patients like you, right? We kind of tied back. What percentage of people think you're a great chiropractor? How many would come back? If you're a super likable chiropractor with a lot of people who really like what you do, this is just a no-brainer, right? So it's like, if you have a pretty darn good list, you think a lot of people that you've taken care of in the past kind of like with the experience that they had, it's insane not to have patient reactivations as a foundational element of your practice, which is absolutely where we're going today. So that's how you do it. Now I want to talk a little bit about how we do it, and I'll invite you to come on board if it makes sense for you. So if you'd like to get better results faster, this is literally what we do with Patient Pilot. And it includes Campaign Autopilot and Patient Navigator. Campaign Autopilot are your weekly, automated, personalized, done-for-you emails that teach your patients about the benefits of your care and invite them back to your practice. That's simply what it does. Patient Navigator, this automatically tracks every single patient who's engaging with your emails and provides your team with the exact tools you need to reactivate them. So how you know it's working? 1, Autopilot is sending messages weekly to your patient list. Weekly, super consistent, great information. Navigator is showing you and your team exactly who's ready to reactivate every single day. 24/7, 365, you can log in and see exactly who has opened emails, clicked emails over the last 24 hours, 7 days, 30 days, and more. So we make it super easy, and then we serve up on a silver platter every day that somebody clicks the day before. The following day, if somebody clicked, you'll get those reports showing you exactly the names of those individuals. So Patient Pilot weekly email newsletters. Couple things really critical here. We highlighted bold design matters. It's really important that you have world-class patient education delivered to your patients' inboxes. This is zero effort on your part, and this is what drives the system. The consistency of those emails is what drives the result for the rest of the system. So if you choose to send your own emails, please do it at the cadence you need to be successful, which is weekly. That is what drives the system. That is what drives the system. 2 are the reactivation reports. Anytime somebody clicks one of the buttons in your campaigns, you receive, again, a list of their names the following day at 7 a.m., allowing you to follow up and ensure that they got scheduled. You also receive those patient recall lists, which are everybody who's opened your emails, again, making it super, super easy for you to be able to track and monitor what's going on. And that brings us to the tracking sheets, where a list is great, but it doesn't do too much if you don't have the opportunity to hold your team accountable. So this was a new development feature that we recently added in, which gives you the opportunity and ability to track everything that's going on with your patients. So what can you expect with Patient Pilot? You can expect these emails come from your email address, not from us. 2, all personalized for your practice, your logo, your name, everything, all of your clickable buttons, your phone number, your address. 2, you are in control, so you can review and edit these emails anytime. And of course, it's all research-based, so you can feel super comfortable and confident that the right information, not just any information, the right empowering information is getting out there to your patients. So what are some of our members saying? You can see here, Madison, we highlighted earlier, walking in on Monday, seeing a schedule booked up because of Patient Pilot emails. Brian Thierry, this might be a few people watching right now. Hey, I'm skeptical. That's an honest opinion, right? But we had 4 reactivations yesterday after our first success blast. Very cool, which is awesome. And then Dr. Sam as well. This has helped me stay constantly booked. Only paid, appreciative, happy patients that stay around because of the value that I offer them. That is where the system approach really takes and sets itself apart. So if you are somebody who says, this is a priority for me, if it's a priority, then your next steps, no doubt, are sign up today. You're going to get the best deal. You're going to save 25% per month, which is save $100 per month. No setup fee. We're going to waive $500 off the top just to make it as easy as possible. You're going to have a satisfaction guarantee as well. Send us your email list. We'll send out your emails. You'll start getting reactivations, and that can literally happen as soon as next week. So 1, thank you for taking time out of your day, coming online today and learning about patient reactivations. It means the world to me, and it means the world to your patients who you'll reach out to in the future. 2, thank you so much for being a chiropractor. The world needs you. The world needs your care. And if I can help be a conduit to help you help more people, then my mission is fulfilled. Thank you so much for being a chiropractor. Thank you for coming on. Please get started. I'd love to work with you. Have an awesome night. Stay fired up and reactivate. Let's pilot more of those patients back into your practice. Have an awesome night. Bye. Thank you so much for watching this video on the Smart Chiropractor. To not miss a single thing that's clinically oriented, marketing oriented, or more, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel today.